Good evening to all the participants joined in the Delhi virtual program on work-life balance conducted by the Professional Engagement Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in association with Heartfulness. We have with us today's resource person, Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna Khanduri and Mr. Sulabh Mishra. We are conducting the Delhi virtual at 8:30 p.m. and on Saturday and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. so that all are requested to join in this session regularly. Now to introduce our today's resource person, Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna, I request to Mr. Sulabh Mishra for doing the same and thereafter handing over the session to Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna for this session. I am handing over the session to Mr. Sulabh Mishra.
Thank you, sir. Let me introduce Sri B.G. Prasanna Krishna ji. He holds a postgraduate engineering degree from IIT Delhi and is a senior information technology and environmental consultant. He has worked at companies such as IBM, Wipro, GE, Medical Systems, etc. in leadership positions. He has also held executive level positions in two medium-sized IT companies and was heading their India operations. To sustain his keen interest in working with nature and contributing to the society, he started Welfare Harvesters, a company specializing in the field of rainwater harvesting and solar energy utilization. He was also a partner at MEOH Tech LLP, a company which is working in the area of promoting methanol economy. He is also into organic farming and has developed Krishna Organic Farms near Bangalore, which is operated fully on solar energy. Many fruits, vegetables, timber, flowers, etc. are being grown without the use of any chemical fertilizers or pesticides. He is a keen spiritual aspirant, a member of Heartfulness Institute, a certified trainer of the Heartfulness system, and is committed to his spiritual quest under the Heartfulness system of meditation. He has undertaken many research initiatives on benefits of heartfulness meditation, prediction using AI ML algorithms, and has published many articles in PubMed index journals. Over to you, Prasanna ji.
Yeah, thank you, Sulabh ji, and thank you, Dr. Sambit. We'll continue from where we left off yesterday, a brief recap on what we did yesterday. We looked at specifically focus as a soft skill we need to develop for one of the things to attain work-life balance. So basically, we looked at focus as a soft skill. And where we stopped yesterday was really at looking at what are the different types of focuses and how we do it. We looked at more the what of it. We really didn't go into how we can improve our focus. That will be the focus of today's session, where we'll see how we can better our focus. That's where I think we left off yesterday. We just said what are the different types of focus. Before we really start the recap, I just thought we'll do the usual procedure of check-in, which helps us ground ourselves into the current situation and look at how we can focus better on this session today. So let's start with this. Let's all sit comfortably. Gently close our eyes. And bring our attention inwards towards the heart. Let's suggest to ourselves that we are here to attend a session which will help us improve our focus on anything we do in our life. So let's very gently suggest to ourselves that whatever activities we have done through the day and whatever impressions they have left on us is being sidelined for now. And we are going to really focus on the activity we have taken up at hand. Let's try to go inwards into ourselves, get into that attentive mode. The more we go deep into ourselves, the better it will be for us. So let's continue our focus inwards, deep into ourselves. Let's breathe evenly, very deep, very slow. Inhale and exhale very slowly, very deeply. Take deep breaths. Go into the reserves of your heart. Let's gently open our eyes, bring ourselves back to reality. Yeah, we dealt with this yesterday. We realized that I just do a couple of minutes of recap so that we have the continuity from where we left off, specifically for people who could not join us yesterday. So we discussed the first two bullets yesterday. One was we realized through various research papers that about 50% of our time, whatever else we may be doing, we are not really focused on the job we have at hand. Our mind wanders here and there. And also we realized that whenever our mind is wandering, it's by and large looking at negative thoughts, not so much about the positive thoughts or anything. We called it the default mode network, DMN. And today, I think after the first 10 minutes, we'll look at the third bullet. How can we transform ourselves, improve our focus by mental training? I think that's going to be the crux of our discussion today. We saw a video, and we also understood what was attention blink. Attention blink is something which happens like this diagram indicates here. No? There is a series of alphabets which are displayed. Suddenly, two numbers were displayed in between. Even after prompting saying that there's going to be a number, most of us could focus on the first number. The moment we got the first number, we lost our attention. And we failed to recognize the second number. The numbers yesterday were 7 and 1. So basically, this is called the attention blink, where our attention pauses and blinks whenever we think we have reached somewhere. So we discussed that. And also we discussed about Matthew Klingsworth on how we can stay happier by really not focusing on the unwanted things. Because whenever we lose our focus, which is about 50% of our time, we think of negative things and that makes us unhappy. So if we can increase our focus time from 50 to say 70%, we'll be much more happier in life. We also discussed about the negative by default. Whenever we are thinking of something else and not focusing on the job at hand, most of the time it's a negative factor which happens. And he called it the default mode network. Marcus Rachel called it the default mode network. He published a paper on it saying how default mode network really pulls us into that state of losing focus and looking at it. Then we also discussed about a paper by Judson Brewer and his colleagues way back in 2011 when they did an experiment with people who do meditation, and found that it relatively reduced the default mode network activity. They took a group of people who were meditating, took a group of people who are not meditating, and found that the people who were meditating had a reduced default mode of activity. That's where we were. So now we'll come to two things. Like yesterday we discussed, there was a focused attention, like a cat, waiting at a rat hole. And there was also, we discussed an example of a kingfisher spanning an entire lake. And the moment there is a ripple somewhere in one part of the lake, it would jump down and catch a fish. So our mind needs to learn these two sort of attentions. One is a very focused attention. Second is a very broad-based attention where we try to cover a lot of things which are happening in life. In this context, I would like to start off with a video, where we'll see how our mind can wander around and do it. Let's just watch this video for a minute and then see what is the result of this video.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
How did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away.
Sorry, madam.
It's just a matter of...
Yeah, I just like to pause the video here. And since this is not an interactive session, probably you can note down if you found anything which is not in tune with what we are observing. There were a lot of things in the video which were not really syncing up. So if you can think about it, jot it down or mentally jot it down to see what is it that was not consistent in this video. We'll spend about 15-30 seconds on this and see if you can just if you have a piece of paper, write down on a piece of paper where you found this video to be inconsistent. After that, I'll play the rest of the video. Well, here goes the rest of the video.
Observation. The real question is, how observant were you? Action. Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
Well, I don't know how many of us could really make out all the 21 differences which happened when the video was being played. There were 21 things which changed. How many of us could observe how many of them is a big, see, even a big thing like a bear being replaced by a soldier. I don't know how many of us were able to register. So this is one of the problems with a very focused attention. When you're really focusing on something and not able to really look at everything else, a bigger picture. this is what typically happens to our mind. This video is a very good demonstration. Yesterday we saw the video of this Skoda Fabia car, no? Where we were focused so much on the car that we didn't notice a lot of things which were changing on the road. Similarly here, our mind has this tendency to focus on one thing at a time, like cat-like focus, just looking at the rat hole. And we miss out a larger picture, which probably is important also in our life. Like we focus so much on a profession sometimes that we forget our family. We focus so much on a customer during a period where the customer is very unhappy. We tend to forget the other customers. So this happens to all of us. So let's do an exercise before we look at this meta-attention or open awareness. It's similar to this kingfisher, waiting for a fish. Its attention is there on the entire lake, not just that particular area where like a cat focused on a rat. So what we are trying to do is like what we did in meditation yesterday. We assume that there is a light in the heart, wait for it. But whenever we are aware we are thinking of something else, we bring our mind back. So let's do a couple of exercises, each 1 minute, so that we understand really what we are trying to arrive at. See, we are trying to arrive at a solution to a problem, that how can we improve our focus. So that solution to arrive at the solution, let's do a couple of exercises. One is, let's start with this idea that we have to focus on one thing. A typical thing we can look at is, for example, something you really love or something you don't really like at all. We'll try to not focus on it. Suppose you like something, maybe your children, wife, parents, whatever. For 1 minute, let's try to just focus on that and not think of anything else. Just focus on what we like to do. Let's start now. Let's close our eyes. Try to bring focus on. If you can't think of something else, let's try to focus continuously on the light in the heart. So let's begin now. Let's do a focused attention. Concentrate on that one thing you want to do. Extremely focused concentration. Ignore everything else that's happening around us. Yeah, let's stop now and open our eyes. Since this is not so much an interactive session, I'll just talk about the interactions and the comments we had earlier. Most of the people who went through this 1 minute exercise said that it was a very, very heavy activity on the mind. You're trying to force your mind. Don't think of anything else, just think of this. And there was a lot of strain on us. Typically, it happens when we have to finish something like ITRs have to be filed by November 15th. You're really focusing. By the time you go home, you find that you're drained out. So this sort of very focused attention drains our mind out. So what is suggested as per psychology and science is there's a lot of research which has got this meta-attention or open awareness. You're trying to achieve a job like the kingfisher, but you're not focused on one particular thing. It's like this lady sitting on top of a mountain and trying to gauge the vastness of the mountain. It's a very relaxing exercise, right? When you look at something like that, it's a very, very relaxing exercise. Unlike the first one we did, where there was complete focus. We are really straining the mind to do it. And all of us tend to do it in our profession, where we are so focused on the work at hand that at the end of it, when we complete that work or pause on that work, our mind is very, very, very tired. So I think now we'll do this exercise where We are trying to do something, but are also aware of everything that goes on. So let's close our eyes. Again, I'll go back to the example of light in the heart, but others who think there's something more important, something which you can focus on easily, take that. But let's just stick to this light in the heart and do the way we meditate, where we let our mind wander free. You are aware that somebody is cooking in the kitchen. You are aware that somebody is watching TV, but my attention is on the light in the heart, the source of the light in the heart. Let's do it for a minute. Let's all close our eyes. Bring our attention to the heart and think of something which is dear to us. If not anything else, let's think of the light in the heart. Let's think of the source of the light in the heart, our own self in the heart. It's okay for the mind to wander. And like last time, don't force it to think only of this. It's okay for the mind to wander. The moment you're aware you're thinking of something else, very gently bring the mind back to your heart and try to think of the light in the heart, the source of the light in the heart. Yeah, the general comment, we can gently open our eyes now. The general comment which all of us got when we did this course was that this was a much, much more relaxing exercise compared to the concentrated, focused effort we did for the first minute. This was much, much more relaxing for us, but it got the work done. So that's what is the difference between focused attention, or what we call meta attention, or open awareness. A lot of scientific studies have happened there. The gentlemen I mentioned earlier, Kingsworth and others, have done a lot of research on this and published the findings, where it clearly states that by concentrating, you're straining the mind. You really burn out yourself very fast. But while this is a very relaxing activity which helps us do it, I'll just explain some of the scientific findings from this research. One is that there are what is called happy hormones, which are released whenever we do something. The first one is dopamine. We discussed about it yesterday. Like whenever we are indulging in a very pleasureful activity, whatever it can be, food, sex, or somebody is praising us, or social media, or addictions like drug and alcohol, it gives us pleasure according to us. At that time, dopamine is released. But what happens is dopamine is the addictive hormone. It brings many times addiction to alcohol, drugs, social media, that sort of a thing. Similarly, there's a hormone called serotonin, which gets released whenever we are anxious or in a depression. The body tries to counter it by releasing a hormone called serotonin. The levels of these hormones are measured in various people, and many scientific studies have found that serotonin really improves the happiness when you're in anxiety or in depression. Similarly, when there is a pain, physical pain or a mental pain, which we call stress, chemicals called endorphins are released in the system. These endorphins bring down the level of pain, and once the pain reaches a state of unbearable thing, people pass into coma, right? That's what typically happens. When the pain becomes unbearable, people pass into coma. People under coma have been found to have very high levels of endorphins. But the most important chemical which gets released is called oxytocin, which is released when you give or receive love, affection, things like, when you hug your children, or when you hug when a mother delivers a baby, or you have a very meaningful and deep conversation with a friend. The oxytocin level has been found to be very high. But in the first instance, where we are really trying to focus our mind, forcing it mind, there's another negative hormone which comes in, which is called the cortisol. Basically, it's like a survival technique, either you fight or you flight. Either you run away from the situation, or you get charged up to fight. So the cortisol pumps a lot of energy into our physical system where you're ready to fight or ready to run. So these are some of the hormones which were examined, but the oxytocin level gets released in an exercise like what we're going to do right now. Again, a 1-minute session where let's try to now close our eyes and try to enjoy what we are doing. It could be, we can remember our childhood friends where we had time with a child or a children or grandchildren when we are spending time with them, or near ones and dear ones. You have been to a party with friends, how you enjoyed. Think of that and let's spend a minute trying to think about that. This time the difference is you're really feeling something which you enjoyed. There was no feeling in the other two. Other two was a focused attention and a very dispersed attention. Let's now try to enjoy it with the feeling, saying that I'm trying to find. If you can't think of a situation, let's think of our own inner self in the heart. Let's think of the self in the heart, which is there, which we love so much. We take care of it with our body, mind. We spend so much time on taking care of it. Let's think of that with a lot of love. We have to love ourselves. Like they say, charity begins at home. We have to really love ourselves. Spend a couple of minutes on this. A very gentle, enjoyable feeling. Spend a couple of times on this. We can gently open our eyes. The feedback we got during most of the sessions was that people were typing in on the comments on chat and giving feedback. They found that this was the most relaxing exercise, but they found that their mind was totally with this. There was hardly any distraction. So the solution to how we really get our focus is to enjoy what we're doing and do what we enjoy. Unless that is there, we'll not be able to focus on the thing we want to do. So, there were 3 types. Now, first, there was a very focused attention. Second, there was a meta attention. Third was we did something which we love. So, I think every time morning when you get up, think of what you have to do and say, yeah, this is something I do. I'm doing because I like it. Or if you're doing something which you don't like, say that this is needed for my existence. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not wasting my time on this. So I think if we start a day with that sort of a feeling, or whenever you start an activity, be in office, when you go sit on your computer, or if you go for a client meeting, convince yourself that either you're loving this activity or you're doing it because it's important for your life. It has to be one of the two, right? You do something which you like, or it is something which you're forced to do because it's essential for your survival. So if we convince ourselves, our focus tremendously improves, it becomes much better and better. So this is a solution to how we can improve focus. And of course, again, Judson Brewer says, transformed by attention on feelings and meta-attention. So this sort of attention to feelings, what we do. There are some graphs by the side of it. We may not have time to discuss all this, but I think it's a very hard scientific evidence saying that this is really something which is going to transform us. So let's think about this. And one of the ways of transformation is to keep our mind clean and clear. This is a summary of what we discussed as far as focus was concerned. One is unfocused nearly 50% of the time. A study from Matthew Klingberg in Harvard University reported that 40% of our thoughts are random and not related to the performed activity, leading to unhappiness. The solution he found out was meditation can enhance the capacity to focus, and regular practice can lead to effortless focus. The last exercise of feeling was an effortless focus. We're not pushing our mind. We're just loving what we're doing. So that helped us make better. And again, the default mode network was less active during meditation, suggesting a greater ability to refrain from ruminating and worrying about oneself. And of course, the most important finding by Judson River again was the default mode network was easily altered when focusing on feeling instead of thinking, and when observing thoughts, which is meta-attention. Meditation trained in a sustained attention and meta-attention. Heart-based meditation is conducive to feelings. So basically, all the scientific research is pointing to one thing, that our mind is very important, but so is our heart, where from thoughts we move to feeling. That experiential portion is one of the most important things in our lives. That's why there are so many articles about meditation helping us with this, that, and all that. You become a better person, you become a better professional, you attain that balance of life. So I think meditation is a key to many, many things. And how do we find out if it's applicable to us, relevant to us? Like we have been discussing past 2 weeks, we should try it. There's no proof other than our own experience. So I humbly request everybody to think this over, incorporate it in our lives, so that let's do it for 3 months with sincerity. We'll find that our life is changed. We are a transformed individual. Well, me saying it may not convince everybody, but I think we have to find out for ourselves. So with this, we move on to the actual practice part of it. Like we did the meditation portion yesterday. Today, this Stan also introduced on the second day of his lecture. What we'll do is we'll go through the cleaning process. It's slightly, there is a process to it. Unlike meditation, it's a very relaxing process. So what we'll do today is first we'll go through this cleaning process for about 10 minutes. And then at the end of it, I'll request everybody to step into meditation. We'll continue with that for about 5-10 minutes before we wind up the session. Like I'm emphasizing time and again, the practice portion of it is important. Unless we do the practice, we are not going to be benefited. So with that understanding, let's all sit comfortably. Let's gently close our eyes. Let's try to go inwards into ourselves. Let's put a very subtle suggestion to ourselves that we are trying to become pure and simple. We are trying to get back into this purity and simplicity state, which the child in the screen, it's very simple, it's very pure, right? No complications as far as this child is concerned. We are trying to go back to that stage of innocence, of being pure and simple. To become pure and simple, we are trying to remove impurities and complexities in our system. So let's pay attention to our heart and use our willpower to throw out all impurities and complexities from the back of a system. Let's assume that the impurities and complexities are going out as smoke from the backside of our body, right from the tip of the head till the tip of the last bone of the vertebrae. All complexities and impurities are being pushed out using our willpower, and they're going out as smoke from the back. You can visualize the smoke if it helps you. But be very gentle with your willpower. Don't put too much of force. Like we have been discussing, that feeling that I should be pure and simple should predominate the idea. And let's use our willpower to gently throw out complexities and impurities. Let's continue with this process for a while. all impurities and complexities are going out of the bag as smoke. And we are using our willpower to throw it out. Be very gentle with your willpower. And let's try to hasten the process now. It's becoming faster and faster. More smoke is going out from the bag. We are now able to throw out more impurities, more complexities by using our willpower in a very, very gentle way. The more gently we use our willpower, the better it will be. Let's continue with this process of throwing out impurities and complexities. Try to feel the lightness in the system because the heavy impurities and complexities are going out. We should be feeling lighter. Try to observe the lightness in you and continue the process of throwing out impurities and complexities. As the complexities and impurities are going out, there is a vacuum created in our heart. Try to feel the lightness because of this grosser impurities and complexities going out. There is a vacuum created in our heart. Now, let us assume that there is a current flowing into it from the front of our body. There's a current from the source of this universe, whatever created that universe, that is transmitting a current, a very peaceful current, a very sacred current into our heart to fill up the vacuum that has been created because of removal of complexities and impurities. So there are two processes going on now. One is we are using our willpower to throw out complexities and impurities from the back, and it's going out as smoke. The second process which we'll add now is whatever vacuum has been created by throwing out these complexities and impurities is being replaced with a very pure and sacred current, which is coming from the source of the universe. The source of the universe is sending this current to fill up the vacuum. So let both the processes continue for a while. As the impurities are leaving a system, we are becoming pure. As the complexities are leaving a system, we are becoming simple. We are becoming pure and simple and the current which is coming in from the source of the universe is making us very happy, pure, sacred. Try to feel the purity and simplicity. It may not be easy, but I think we can try feeling that purity and simplicity. And the current which is coming in from the front is also helping us remove whatever remnant impurities or complexities are still there in the system. Let us scan our system from our head to the toes to see if there is any remnant heaviness, impurities, or complexities. And if so, use your willpower, use the current from the source to push it out. Just scan our system. Some portion of your system is feeling heavy. Pay special attention to that and clear. Let's assume that the entire system is now pure, simple, and is becoming further sacred and pure by the divine current which is coming and filling up our heart. Let this current spread into each and every nook and corner of our system. Every cell in our body is filled with this pure and sacred current. Our entire system has become pure, simple, clean, and sacred. We are feeling very light. Try to observe that lightness. Try to feel the purity and simplicity. With that feeling, now let's go within ourselves into the core of our heart and start a meditation. Let's meditate on the light in the heart, the source of the light in the heart. Let's ignore any thoughts which may come in. Let's not focus on it. It's going to be a very passive and easy exercise. Let's begin meditation. Let's continue for this for about 5 to 10 minutes. Still, I say that is all. That is all. Before you open your eyes, just observe how are you feeling today after the meditation. If you have a piece of paper, you can write down, otherwise make a mental note. How are you feeling after the meditation? How was it before the session? How was it after the meditation? It's very important to realize that what is the effect meditation has had on you. So let's spend 10-15 seconds trying to understand, experience our own. When you're done, you can gently open your eyes. Yeah, with this, we are almost at the end of the program. The only request I have for you is meditation has been talked about in almost all religions. The ancient scriptures talk about it. Buddha attained his moksha, they call moksha, under a bodhi tree after meditating for a long time, maybe a couple of weeks or something under the bodhi tree. Mahavira did it. They say Moses went up a mountain to do that. Prophet Muhammad is also known to have sat with his eyes closed for a long time. So all our religions, our ancient scriptures talk about it. And of late, a lot of psychological studies, scientific studies using brain waves, EEG patterns, fMRIs are being done. Everything is pointing to one thing, which is meditation is good for us to become a better human being. See, we may have a lot of money, we may have enough money, we may have more than enough money, but many times what is missing is the peace, the contentment. That is what meditation can provide about. Actually, there was a funny incident. I had traveled to Australia once on a meditation seminar. We conducted a course there. At the end of it, one person came and said, my family is in a mess. This is a problem. That is a problem. My wife many times shouts, screams. Then he listened to whatever he said and said, yeah, my wife needs it, and walked away. So I think that should not be the attitude. If there's one thing we can change in this world, it's us. So let's try to focus on us. Like we spoke a couple of days back, only if I have 200 rupees in my pocket, I can give 100 rupees to somebody, no? So I think let's try to focus on that, improving ourselves. Yeah, there's one question on the chat box. I think we don't have much time, but we can take this one question. Yeah, how does work-life balance affect the overall mood and motivation at work? No, obviously the thing is, it's going to be a positive thing. It's not like we don't want people to work or we don't want people to spend more time at this thing. What we are really focusing on during this session will be not the quantity of time. If you're working 10 hours a day, probably can you do it in 8 hours a day more effectively? So we are talking of how can we improve the quality of the time we spend. Once the quality of time we spend becomes better, we need lesser and lesser of time in terms of quantity. So what we are really trying to achieve through these sessions is increase the quality of time we spend in each of our activities, be it professional life, be it personal life, be it family life, be it spiritual life. No point in going to a temple and thinking about what we have to complete in the office today and tomorrow, right? If you're there in a temple, you're gone there for getting some peace, some inspiration, spend time on that. Same thing, when you come to office, don't think of a fight you had with your wife or children or husband. So that is what we are trying to achieve. We are trying to achieve a balance in our life by improving the quality of time we are spending. So I think that is the focus, and that's where meditation can help a lot. Hopefully I've answered the question. If there are no more questions, I think we can wind up. There's one more message which has come. Do we consider the job change primarily due to work-life balance issues? See, one thing we have to be clear about is we have a life to lead, we have a professional life to lead, we have a family life to lead. A job change, if you think it's going to pay you more, it's going to give you better working environment, we should definitely look at it. There's nothing wrong. And it need not be for work-life balance alone. We can find balance in whatever job we are doing also. But if you think a new job can give you better opportunities to attain that work-life balance, please do. One of the things we definitely don't advocate is we are not sannyasis trying to run away from life. In fact, a guide keeps saying, Daji, who inaugurated the session, keeps saying, if only the bad men in this world keep making money, this world cannot improve. The good people have to make money, exert their power, enter politics. We are not trying to make politics. We are trying to make a politics a better field with good people. Today, everybody is afraid to go to politics. It's made for gundas and things like that. So I think we should become better human beings and take over the reins of this world. That's what we are trying to do. If a job change can help it, yes. How do we ask for help if you had issues maintaining a work-life balance? Like I told you, try the practice. You can always reach out to CA Pradeep Gupta ji. His number is there, or Dr. Sambit can put us in touch with him. Please feel free to reach out. He'll be more than happy to do it for us. I think we're almost there. Dr. Sambit, if you're okay, can we close the session now? There are no more questions also. Okay. One last one. Can I address this, Dr. Sambit?
You address.
Yeah. What are some signs that your life is in balance, out of balance? See, basically, like we discussed, the third aspect of focus, we should be enjoying what we're doing. Otherwise, we should recognize that this is important for my life to go on. This is needed for my survival, and do it happily. If that happiness, joy is missing in our professional life or family life, how can we make it better? We can't run away from either of them, either professional life, family life, or personal. We can't run away. How do we make it better? So to answer the question, if there is no joy and happiness, let's look at how we can make it joyful. That, I think, will bring the balance. Thank you. I really appreciate ICI for giving us this opportunity to present. Tomorrow, there'll be Mr. Subramaniam who will talk about the peak performance. Thank you, sir.
We are thankful to Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna for deliberating on the various aspects of work-life balance. We are also thankful to Mr. Sulabh Mishra and Mr. Deepak Khanduri for their valuable insights in particular session. We are thankful to the participants joined during this virtual program. We are thankful to each and everyone present over here during this session. Thank you to all. With this, we conclude today's session.